Hey everyone, I am TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs Podcast, where we talk Nintendo news from the past month, and in this case, from the past day, because 90% of this video is going to be discussing that Partners Showcase that just happened when we're recording this. Sometimes life just winds up perfectly for us, right, Kai? It finds a way.
Yeah, of course, we already had that video released yesterday, or a couple of days ago at the time this goes out. And, leading up to it, I asked you, like, an hour before. I was like, do we need to record this? Like, these partner showcases sometimes can be kind of bad. I referenced, like, the farming sim compilation from ages ago. I was like, is this really worth doing? And yeah, so glad that we did, because that was a very good one with lots of cool stuff to talk about. So our live reactions are there. Now we actually have time to like pause and look through it and give our thoughts and all of that.
Exactly. So that will all be here, plus a few other small bits to do with the month, and also, of course, ending with Games Time Baby, where we talk about the games we've been playing. We've got some big ones from Bonanza to Automata, so it's going to be a fun one. But timestamps will be in the description below. But let's just get started with the first segment of the podcast. Can't have a podcast without news, baby, where we go over the news highlights. And just one thing before we get to the Partners Showcase. Let's mention something that wasn't in the Partners Showcase, because who knows when the heck it's gonna be. Inazuma 11 Victory Road has been delayed. Kai's in mourning, I believe, so...
I'm actually quite okay with this because my backlog is huge and this is completely expected. Fair. I was never expecting it to come out on its planned date at this point. I'm scarred.
It's true. I kind of did believe at this time because we were so close to it, and we were so close, and they had everything ready. They'd done like the big tests for it. But, like you say, it's happened so often at this time, you're probably numb to it. So, the bigger thing, though, is they didn't say when it's delayed to, did they? It's just...
I feel like they said the end of the year, no? They said, like, November? I can't remember.
Let me double-check that. Yeah, I should have written that down. But at the very least, I don't think we have a release date. It does scare me a little bit that we don't have something set in stone, if I'm remembering correctly.
Delayed to November 13th.
Oh, we do have some. Okay. Never mind. That's something.
Bad. That's alright.
No, that's...
It will be delayed again. This is the thing.
That's the thing, yeah. At least we have a temporary date, but yeah, it's... I don't know what's coming out at that time, because we don't really know a lot of the release schedule for things. A lot of it's still vague. I guess Pokemon, but I don't think either of us are picking that one up. So, we'll see.
No.
I am looking forward to this, because genuinely, like, as someone who's didn't play the original series, like, I'm committed to getting this now. It's just a matter of if it does actually come out. And Level 5 continue to scare us. So who knows?
I will say, wasn't there a Pokemon Presents this month? There was.
Yeah, there was. I decided that it's probably not worth talking about. We can do if you want. Did you watch it?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Aren't they doing like a new animation made by the Wallace and Gromit people? That's a cool thing.
Yeah, we did know about that, and we saw like it's about a Wooloo and a Sirfetch'd, I think. It's about like two of them. So yeah. I guess like Shaun the Sheep kind of thing.
It's cute.
That's the only thing worth talking about for us, I suppose, from that is I don't think either of us are getting
I've watched a little bit more about the new Legend ZA. And again, like I really like Kalos, so I was looking forward to it. But the more I've seen of the game, the more I'm like, I really can't be bothered to play this.
Yeah,
it just, I don't know. It doesn't look bad, and they're bringing back some characters, which is cool. The customization is always nice, being able to walk around with your Pokemon. They're going for that action route, but I just keep looking at it going like, man, Ni no Kuni 1 was so much cleaner in what it did, and like, there's just a lot of other modern games that do a better job at this point. Like Pokemon, for a solid 20 odd years, it really did something unique and great that no one could replicate as well. We're in a modern age where indie companies can replicate Pokemon better. And I'm not talking about Pal World, because I couldn't care less about Pal World, but just other RPGs of this type can do a better job, and it's difficult to care that much about
it's stiff competition.
The whole time they're doing what they're doing. So, I don't know, we'll see. There's still a massive audience for it, and they are doing cool things, but it's not something me and you particularly care much about, so we won't have much to talk about going forward.
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll if anything that, piques our interest does happen, we'll keep an eye on it, but for now we're just going to skim over that one, and let's just go, I suppose, straight to the Partners Showcase. Well,
this is the transition. I was just talking about games that I'd rather play than the new Pokemon, right? The first one from the Partner Showcase is a brilliant example of that,
Monster Hunter Stories 3, yeah. It looks really good. Like, as someone who even, I haven't played the last two, and I'm probably not going to get this, I don't have much interest in Monster Hunter, it looked great still,
It did.
It's very appealing. I think, obviously, we have some Monster Hunter friends who are big fans that will probably pick this one up, so we'll hear about it from them, but if it wasn't for how stacked games releases are, I would be interested, to be honest with you. Like, this looks like the cel-shaded sort of art style really brings it to life, and who doesn't want to glide around on a Rathalos, it just seems fun.
Exactly. It is on my radar, so, maybe one day.
Yeah, I guess they also sort of came out with out of nowhere a new Katamari game, another one which we haven't played, but is a pretty big deal, all things considered. They've been re-releasing the previous games on Switch over the past few years, but hey, a brand new one out of nowhere, why not? More variety on Switch is always a good thing.
To see.
I suppose one that you do have an interest in, Kai, is Plants vs. Zombies, right? I'll pass this one over to you.
Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies, the classic. You know how it is. I like how they had a little trailer for it. Again, I was a little worried at first. I thought it was Plants vs. Zombies 3, which is like a bad mobile game. The second game is a mobile game, but it was a little bit better until then. This is a long tangent. Point is, the first game is out on the Switch. Specifically, it appears to me to be like the console port version that they do, because I own it on PlayStation, and they have a hedge to the right, which means it's like the port version. That's not a bad thing. It's not like an issue or anything. Just acknowledging it. And it's Replanted. Now, I'm not 100% sure what Replanted is, but it seems to me like it's basically the core game, but there is a multiplayer version, so you can both play the main game as co-op. There's also like a versus mode where one of you plays as the zombies. It's a little bit janky, I'll be honest. But it's there, and the main thing is, like, the core game exists on the Switch now, which is good because, it's just nice to have a game like that on the Switch. It's the perfect choice. It's a very easy, like, pick up and play a level for 5 minutes. Yeah, handheld, like, it would fit the screen very nicely. It's just a really strong classic game to have on there, so there's not much else to say, but it's a good one, and I'll pick it up because, like I say, I currently play Plants vs. Zombies 1 on Xbox 360, and I do not want to keep getting that thing out, so...
Understandable.
Yeah, just a very good thing to have. It's a good sign.
Yeah, I've never actually played Plants vs. Zombies, except the free-to-play, like, shooter one that's on Switch. I played, an hour of that.
I love the Garden Warfare games. I've talked about those.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but I've never played the classic, and I don't know if it'd be my kind of thing, but if I'm going to pick it up anywhere, putting it on Switch is the way to do it. It's definitely that Switch effect, where people will buy games just because it's on the Switch, and why not? So this really is
convenience, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, it's the perfect fit for that. So that's a good one to have. Next game, probably one of the biggest ones, especially considering we're a Nintendo podcast, Age of Imprisonment got another trailer. No release date, still just a vague winter. But, Team Up Attacks? That looks pretty sick, right?
Yeah, they look cool. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done this before now, to be honest. But, it's neat. It's going to be one of those little combo attacks between characters. Maybe there's like an affinity system with it. Probably not, but you never know. Yeah, it's always just a cool one to see combo attacks. It's a fun little addition, but to be honest, I don't feel like we saw a whole lot outside of that. It was a very random trailer.
Just kind of a reminder that it's coming. I thought this would have been like a release date trailer, but again, no, it's just winter, which could be late this year, early next year. We did see a Gerudo, a new character design, who is probably the Sage unmasked. We don't know that for certain, but we're kind of assuming, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's safe to say because the rest of them still had masks on, but yeah, they specifically showed off the Gerudo. So I think it's safe to assume that probably is the mage, the Sage.
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be. We discussed this before, I think, but I'd imagine it'll be sort of like Adam in Torna, where you see him with the cloak and then he takes it off, and there's his new character design kind of thing, and then you can probably put it on as an option or whatever, an optional costume. But I'm pretty. We'll be seeing gradually the new designs for all of them, I assume, and getting more as we get closer to release date. The other real thing to speculate on is right at the end of the trailer, they showed sort of a construct being made, a sort of a kind of humanoid construct. We had Phi's theme playing over the top of it, and it looked like... It reminded me of like where Link wakes up in Tears of the Kingdom, right? It looked kind of similar. I don't know if it was the same place. But we can only theorise on what this means. Do you have any ideas since watching it, kinda, or still stumped?
I think the thing that I mentioned during the Direct is definitely what I'd stick by, is that it's a Zelda game. You generally will have Link in one form or another, especially with this.
Yeah.
So I do think it's basically going to be a construct version of Link. It will have very similar properties to what he had in Age of Calamity, except it's not him, it's like a construct version of him. I think that's ultimately what it's going to be. I saw a small theory point that I really like, the idea that in the past here was where Link's consciousness, or like his soul, was during his 100 years of recovery.
That's interesting.
It's probably just going to be, oh no, Link's soul is here. But I kind of liked that idea of that's what Link was doing during that 100 years. His soul was elsewhere while his body was being fixed. And maybe that explains it would maybe be part of his memories as well, why they're gone, I don't know.
I wonder if it's just like a sort of... I was going to say like a way to like use the power of the Master Sword when Link's gone, and maybe that's why it played Phi's theme. Maybe even it has Phi's face or something in there or whatever. But isn't the Master Sword broken at this point? So who knows?
Yeah.
Because Zelda has it, but it is meant to be broken. But like you said, I think it makes sense you'll find a way to put Link in there one way or another. This would track if it's like some sort of replica of him kind of thing. And you'll also be able to get traditional Link in here, no doubt, even if it's DLC or whatever, or like a post-game. But
there'll be a thing like 3/4 of the way into the game where they're like, oh, we managed to make a time portal for Link, and he's here now, and basically the stuff they did in Age of Calamity.
You say that, but they did mention in this trailer, like the narrator calls it like a canonical story, which they mentioned the first time as well. They're weirdly emphasizing it in both trailers. They've emphasized the word "it's a canonical story," which I feel like implies that they heard the criticisms of the original, and they're like, we're gonna make this not as its own separate fan fiction thing. Which, to be fair, I like Age of Calamity for that. But if they're gonna double down on that for Age of Imprisonment, I'm on board. We'll see if that holds true. Of course, it could just be like it's technically canon in another universe or whatever, But the fact they keep mentioning it makes me wonder, so... Only one way to find out, I guess.
To see where this goes. I will say, the gameplay looks very fun as usual, like, same standard stuff that you saw in Age of Calamity.
Yeah.
But using all, like, the Zonai devices and everything, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely will, it looks just as good as ever for a Warriors game, and... hopefully it'll run nice and smoother on the Switch too, because man, that Age of Calamity could chug. But I'm still surprised we haven't got like a patch for that, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm still kind of waiting on like one extra thing from Age of Imprisonment to make it really have a draw. Because thus far, the story doesn't seem out of this world. And the gameplay is very similar to Age of Calamity, so I'm just hoping for that one thing that's like, oh, this looks really good. You know how Age of Calamity had like, you could build up all the of Hyrule by doing the quests and all of that? Something along those lines of just like, this is a unique draw.
Yeah, I think there's definitely stuff to reveal. Like, how's the depths going to work? Is that going to be its own thing? There's definitely more here, and they're holding out on like probably like the big full-on reveal until we have a release date, whenever that is. Maybe the next mainline Nintendo Direct. But definitely one we'll be keeping an eye on. And more on the Warriors later, actually, on my end. But we'll get there. For now, I guess Persona 3 Reload coming to Switch. That's a good grab. I know you said you were thinking about picking it up, so...
I've considered it purely because of the music, I won't lie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any interest in the game itself whatsoever, but it's a banger playlist, so we'll see.
I mean, I know you like a good game that you can sink ungodly amount of hours into, Kai, and Persona's definitely one of those. So,
It is. I just don't know if I'm ready for that rabbit hole yet, but maybe when I've got lots of free time in the future, eh?
Well, once again, more on the Persona rabbit hole later, actually. So, there's going to be a trend here. But, I guess all I've got left noted for myself are the 2 final reveals. Is there anything else before we get to those you want to mention from the Direct?
Just that it was cool to see more Final Fantasy Tactics. We didn't see a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah. No, that was good.
So that was there. Who could forget the triple combo of FIFA, Madden, and the Tiny Rat game? The classic 3 that go together, all those 3 sports games, the FIFA with the football, Madden with your NFL, and then the rat game where you're a tiny rat in the world trying to survive.
I was always good at the Tiny Rat game as a kid. That was my specialty. I was in the club.
Yeah, I was bad when they brought on Rat Ultimate Team, and I was never any good at that.
Messed with it, ruined it.
But yeah, there was that, and outside of that, just the legend that is Just Dance.
Has to be there.
Another one of those. Yeah, it has to be. Every time. Every Direct has to have a Just Dance, What's more? We talk about Xenoblade, or the Direct has a Just Dance?
What's always funny is you watch people doing reactions who, like, monetize their videos. Obviously, we don't have to worry because we don't. But people who do immediately freak out when Just Dance comes on, like, quickly mute the video or we're going to get licensed music. Yeah, it's very funny watching them panic every time if you're binging reaction videos.
Brilliant.
But
that's all from me, though. That's all from me.
In which case, we dropped with a double whammy from Square Enix on the HD 2D front. And first of all, we have Adventures of Elliot, a brand new HD 2D game that's an action RPG, and in fact had a demo dropped which I played this morning. And holy shit, Kai, it's amazing. You need to get on this one. I know you're thinking of streaming it. It's so fun.
I will stream it. Absolutely. I'm going to stream the demo without a doubt. Is it that good?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends what you're looking for, but it's just really charming. You got the visuals and the music that these games are known for. Obviously, that's all there in full force, as good as it always is. But it's just really... The gameplay loop is really fun. The way you can you have things like perfect shielding, gameplay elements you're used to. You can do charge attacks. When you get the... we saw it in the trailer. There's like a sword. There's also like a flail. You can can't remember the name for it, but that you swing around. And you can use it to latch onto enemies and bring them towards you. It's optional in the demo, but when you get that and you can combine both of them, it's so satisfying. It's just inherently really fun. It's not that difficult. I played it on easy mode. My only criticism, which we'll see if you agree with, but is the actual boss itself was kind of awkward, a little finicky. I think that could have used some work. But heck, that's what they have these demos for. And all the ones in the past, they've taken the criticism to heart and done good fixes for, like with Triangle Strategy, like with Octopath. But in this case, I really don't think there's much they need to do, because the fundamentals, it's exactly what it looks like. It's kind of a top-down 2D Zelda-ish. You've got dungeons to explore, but a bit more focus on the combat, and it's good fun. So, really charming stuff. I'm getting this day one, that's for sure.
I will say, it does definitely give me immensely strong top-down Zelda vibes.
For sure.
Right, like it is just that style of everything. And I always do like that, because it you know, whenever they introduce a game in a new genre like this, it does make you look at every other mainstream game in the genre and go, why aren't you doing this? And suddenly your standards are raised for the next game. I think it's really good in terms of competition in the industry. For them to keep fucking around with the other genres like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool to see. Like I say, it looks great. I'm just watching the trailer at the moment. You know, it seems like it has a lot of potential, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I like how they're sort of branching out, you know. And normally I prefer the turn-based tactical stuff, but I'm definitely not opposed to this style either.
I think the only thing that we didn't really get a grip of, there wasn't really any story in the demo, so if you're interested in finding out that, we don't get a lot. I liked the characters we did get. Your little fairy companion, Faye, she's quite charming, little funny, cute lines as you're battling with her and whatnot. But that's still certainly something I'm interested to see more of when we get to like the full game. But no, this paints a solid picture.
I have two issues with it off the bat.
Go for it.
One is I don't know how much this appears in the actual game, but I don't care for one of the core parts of the story so far being like everything is like, you know, animals and animal people. I really struggle to care for like animal people plot lines and stuff like that.
So far, they've all been enemies. They haven't been characters. But that's just in the demo.
Okay. I also like how there's just like Philadelphia is.
Yeah. Why not?
And the other thing is like the naming. I would definitely much rather call this the Millennium Tales over the Adventures of Elliot. So I will probably keep referring to it as the Millennium Tales because that's what it is in my head now.
No, I agree. I forgot the name of like the tagline or what you call it, but it is better because The Adventures of Elliot does sound like a kid's book, you know.
Yeah, it does. The Millennium Tales I love as a name, so I'm going to keep calling it that.
At least it's not Project something.
Yeah, I'll give my thoughts on it next month,
probably. Yeah.
Hey, I like Triangle Strategy. I think it's a perfect name.
It does the job. It's just funny how all of them, they've been like, name to be confirmed, project thing. We can't think of anything better. Just remove the word project. It's consistent, but not this time. But yeah, I think that's really it for the thing. Except I nearly forgot the final reveal.
I was gonna say
we have Octopath. Yeah, 2 HD 2D games. Like I said, Octopath 0 is releasing, which I didn't realize at the time. You sort of questioned it, but this is actually like they've taken the mobile game and they've basically transformed it. It's not a port. They've made it into a full game. Basically, that's what they're doing with this. It's taken the foundations of the mobile game, adding new story and new gameplay stuff, and you know, making it full for like TV screens and whatnot, and a full game. And why not? I guess it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
Like, sure, more Octopath.
So this is a thing I had to go and check afterwards because neither of us have played Octopath 1, right?
No, just a demo.
But we've both played Octopath 2.
No, I've only played the demo of that too. But I do want to play Octopath 2. It's on my list. Yeah.
So I found out the map they show in the trailer is the Octopath 1 map. And again, I thought it looked familiar, but I haven't played it, so I wasn't sure. It's the Octopath 1 map, and yeah, there is an Octopath mobile game. Now, I don't remember a whole lot about the Octopath mobile game, but I know you can like unlock all the characters from the other games. And then some. It's called Champions of the Continent.
Yes.
I think it's kind of gacha-esque. You know, you can have up to 8 characters in battle, and then it's just like the battle system. So yeah, I kind of thought, oh, is it related to that? Because you get to choose your own name, you've got a little town builder, you have 8 characters in battle, it all kind of linked up. And I was like, oh, that's curious. And I don't know much more about the mobile game, but yeah, clearly there's enough content they had in mind that they're making this. It looks to be a prequel to the first game, which is interesting. You know, I'm on board with it, I guess. I probably need to learn a bit more about the first game. But I'm not opposed to any of this so far. I'm curious to see like where it'll go, what kind of characters you can get. Because we see a thing at the very end of the trailer where there's like, I think there's like 32 characters on screen at a time for what looks to be a final boss. And I was like, this is insane. I saw the characters from the first game on the front as well, so they're going to be possibly playable. I just wonder exactly where this is going to go. Like, what are they going to do to make it completely different from the other games? It's clear they've got some stuff in mind, so I'm super, super curious about this, and I definitely need to do some reading on the mobile game to see what they might be drawing from. Interesting idea, though. Really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I know, and again, this is another one of those, more on this later, but when I was talking to our friend Oliver about it, he was like, oh, they're taking their mobile-only gacha games and turn them into full console releases. Couldn't a certain NieR franchise do this as well? But it's true, like, people who aren't into gacha want to play these games and experience their stories and stuff, so why not make them into proper releases? Like, it's a good idea. And whilst I still haven't played Octopath 2, so that would be the one that I want to play if I get around to it, so this isn't on my radar for the moment. I'm glad that it's happening, it's a good idea for a concept, and we still don't know a lot of Nintendo's releases, so having a big December game, an Octopath game, that's a great thing, so no complaints here, really.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see what they do with that, because they'll probably end up showing us more at a later time. But it seems to be kind of like, look, we've got the Octopath formula. I wonder, because it's based on the mobile game, is it going to be even more like customizable in terms of crazy stuff you can do? The Octopath 2 is already insanely customizable. I just wonder, are they going to go to the next level where you can make like insta-broken builds and stuff like that? Because it's drawn from the mobile game. I really don't know. I guess we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see how they get the balance on that one, How do you adapt those mechanics over? But, I guess it won't be too long in the grand scheme of things till we find out. We'll be hearing more on this soon, I'm sure. And I guess that is mostly it for the month. The only thing I want to briefly sort of mention is the interesting thing that the partner showcase, the fact that it was a partner showcase, not a main direct, which is kind of interesting. Everyone was expecting this big, direct thing. And they've got, like, the stuff we see is strong enough for a main direct, easily, right? A new Octopath and Monster Hunter stories and whatnot. And now that Bonanza's out the way, we don't have release dates for any of Nintendo's big hitters outside of Pokemon. Age of Calamity, vague winter. Kirby Air Riders this year, Prime 4 this year. But we still don't have release dates, so you kind of wonder, they've got to be cooking something. But maybe we'll just get Nintendo Today shadow drops for like release dates. Splatoon Raiders when that's happening. But it's interesting that they're holding back on those. Any thoughts there, Kai?
It's an odd spot, isn't it, really? Like you say, all the release dates are vague, and the back end of the year isn't looking too busy. And really, I mean, we've had this now, but we didn't have a whole lot else in the summer, because they were just focusing on the release of the console. It does make me wonder, will we get like a good September Direct or something like that for the winter?
They've got to be, There usually is.
Hey, I feel like it has to happen, so I feel like we're just going to ride the wave out until then. They've clearly given us more than enough stuff to work with in the meantime.
And hey,
so
for August we have...
it's still looking good. I'm optimistic,
Yeah, no, I'm perfectly set. And for August we have Dragon Drive, right? So, yeah. I mean, I'll try the demo. I will try it. We'll see. That'll be a next month thing, I suppose. The only other thing that I just saw on Blue Sky just now is that apparently Nintendo are raising the price of the Switch 1 in America and the Llama. Due to not
only
Switch
in
2 staying
America?
the same. Just America, yeah.
Alright, that's fine. I don't care then.
I mean, granted, none of us are buying a Switch 1 anytime soon either. But it is weird seeing like a new console comes out and the previous console goes up in price. Because that happened with Xbox as well, going up in price. Economy's weird, but hey ho.
Yeah, it's an odd state.
Indeed, but let's move on to our final segment of the podcast then, Games Time Baby, where we talk about games we've been playing. And I think we've got quite a few doozies here today. I'm going to start things off here. I talked about Warriors earlier, and Persona earlier, because I played Persona 5 Strikers, the Warriors Persona game. Sort of been meaning to get around to it after playing the original last year on Switch. Played this one on Switch as well. Switch 2, which actually does have some benefits, solid 30 FPS and quicker loading times, so I'll certainly take it. But it's fascinating, because I always wondered why this game wasn't called Warriors, you know? Like all the others have that title. And the reason really is because this kind of isn't a Warriors game. It's actually way more of a Persona 5 sequel than it is a Warriors game, in a really weird way, which kind of surprised me. Where you've got, like, of course, like the most recent Warriors games, it replicates Persona 5 style perfectly, you know. The visual flair of Persona's all there, the music in full force, both remixes and new tracks, all great as always. But when it comes down to the gameplay, you know, you're going to different cities, you're running around them, buying supplies, exactly the same as in Persona 5. You have your dungeons, instead of palaces, they're jails in this game. You explore them and ambush enemies and fight a boss at the end, exactly like Persona 5. It plays just like the original, except you don't have the life sim elements in there so much anymore. Which is good, because that takes about 40 hours out of the game. I mean, I liked it in the original, but I don't need that all the time.
Yeah.
But the only difference is that when you get into a skirmish with an enemy, like when you ambush an enemy on the field, rather than getting into a turn-based combat, you get into a small skirmish with a group of enemies, and that's where your action comes in. You know, your Y and X combos, like in the Warriors game. Different characters have different mechanics, like one of them you have to hold down to charge attacks, you know, that kind of thing. But it's, you know, you're not taking, there's no like huge wide scale battles, there's no enemy forts or bases, there's no strategy elements of Warriors games. It's just the combat taken into a Persona setting. And if anything, it more so reminds me of Final Fantasy VII Remake, of all things. Not quite on the level of flair and polish that game has, obviously, but in how you're fighting enemies and at any point you can pause to bring up a menu and use a special attack or an item. It's got in that way, it controls exactly the same as Remake. And although I kind of miss like the strategy elements of Warriors games, that's one of their main selling points, and games like Free Hope sort of double down on that really well. For a Persona game, like, yeah, this works. It's interesting, but it fits into it perfectly and just makes it feel like you're playing a sequel to Persona 5, exactly that. All the cast are back, written as well as ever. The story's nice and charming. It's kind of basic. It's kind of just doing Persona 5 again, in a way. So it never hits the heights of the original, or really close to them. But it tells a neat... Yeah, it just tells a neat little side story and an excuse to be back with these characters again and have little skits with them and whatnot. I feel like I never fell in love with the gameplay, where it did feel a little messy. I didn't always find it easy to, like, I don't know, tell what enemies were doing when they were attacking. It was maybe a little bit murky, so it was kind of hard to dodge attacks, and it was quite punishing as well. And it also suffered the exact same problem Persona 5 has, where your standard enemies are piss easy. You ambush them, they go down in 5 seconds. And then your bosses take like 20 minutes. You know, there's no like curve. It's just like a zigzag between bosses and standard enemies in difficulty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is also, again, that's also in the original Persona 5. But it, as a means to an end, combat was decent enough. It was fun, and it's just more Persona. So if you like that and you like Warriors games, it's quite neat that they actually went all in for this one to just make it a Persona game and give it its own unique flair for that. So I can't really complain. Like, it's a good sequel, and that's pretty much it.
I will say, I'm consistently... I'm just watching some gameplay of Strikers now. I'm consistently impressed by just the Warriors team in terms of, like, they get given a real variety of games and always make them fit stylistically. Both in terms of gameplay and visually. Like, they just always make it work. It's very impressive to me.
Yeah, the way they've adapted mechanics is very fun. Like, instead of special attacks, you have certain, like, when you like stun an enemy, you can do an all-out attack like you do in the game, and you do get little sort of like a charge meter to do like a big combo finisher move you can do and that kind of thing. You have different, like the elemental system from Personas there, where you can weaken enemies with those if you use the right character, and if you don't have the SP, you can do certain charge attacks that will also give those elemental effects. And in fact, certain characters have a mechanic where they can empower their standard attacks with the elementals, so they go all in on mixing the mechanics to perfection, like you say. And they must have been teaming up with Atlas on this, because when you're exploring Shibuya, for example, which is in Persona 5, it's literally exactly the same. Like, it looks the same and it plays the same. So they must have teamed up on it, but clearly it worked, so that's
yeah, it just seems good.
Pretty much
it
it.
Seems like a good time.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you like Persona 5, even if you don't like Warriors games, you'll probably still like this one. So it's a good time. What about yourself, Kai? I think we need to buckle up for this one, but What have you been playing?
I don't even know what to say. I've been playing NieR Automata, let's get that out of the way. That's what I've been doing on stream for like a couple of months now. Where do you start with this? I don't even know.
I think you start with like an apology to Oliver, our friend who's a huge NieR fan.
An apology?
For what you're about to say, maybe.
Time. I should probably just break it down into each aspect. Let's start with an easy one. The music's pretty good. I like the music. It's got a very ambient feel a lot of the time. I'm starting with like the safest thing I can say. This is the safest possible thing, is saying the music is good.
Me playing Kingdom Hearts for real.
Having different versions is always good. Yeah, just start with that. Okay, I'm just thinking what I'm gonna cause less trouble over, story or gameplay.
Oh boy.
I'll say I'm not going to go into spoilers here, just to be safe. So there's no issue there. If anyone was watching for spoilers, they probably skipped by now. But anyway, so yeah, I'll start with the story. How interesting this is, you really like the way that they feed information to you in this game is very. I mean, it's very show don't tell a lot of the time. I think that's quite clear. Like it doesn't have, especially in the earlier stages of the game, it doesn't explicitly tell you pretty much anything about the situation you're in. It deliberately gives you extremely limited information. Partly to like introduce plot twists and other things along those lines later down the line, but a lot of it is just like really standard need to know information that they don't give you because quite frankly it doesn't feel like, for them, they probably feel like it's better for you to learn it just by going through the world. So I do find that to be an interesting concept. So that was always kind of neat. And again, as you go through the game, it's less about what's actually happening and more the messages they're trying to tell. And a lot of this is like stuff that maybe I should have been more aware of going into it, because I kept looking out for specific plot points, and it's not a traditional JRPG in that sense. It's not like, you go through the game and you have all these similar plot beats and you finish with a big climactic whatever. It's
very much a slow burn.
It's a game that's telling a message, not a story, in a lot of ways. And I do find it, very, really interesting in that sense. Even outside of that, though, I will say, like, some parts of the game may be dragged, especially, the first sort of 40% of the game, shall we say. It's very much like familiarizing yourself with the world, with what's to come. And then you get into more sort of juicy parts later on, as you sort of start to gather more from the context around you, and more stuff happens. But at the end of the day, the story was interesting. I did, like it, especially, I mean, I only finished streaming it a couple of days ago when recording this. I really liked the last couple of hours of the game, and then it stopped unexpectedly, and I was like, wait, I'm ready to do more. I'm ready to play the last 10 hours of the game now. I'm really excited. And it just ended, and I was like, oh man. I was just getting into it. It's I don't know, it's like if you finished Xenoblade 2 on like, I don't know, halfway through chapter 7 or something, and you're like, oh, damn, okay.
It's very much one of those, if you're expecting like a big climactic ending, it's not that kind of game. But I can see what you mean. I can definitely see
it's like,
if you're looking at
this
that
is
angle.
The comparison. I've been trying to find one. It's like if you finish Xenoblade 1 at the Fallen Arm. Where, like, I'm not going to go into more again for spoilers on that, but it's like you get to a point where you feel kind of satisfied, some stuff has been wrapped up, but there's still a lot of air of mystery about what's to come in the future. And with NieR, it just kind of stops there, because it's like, no, we've sent you the message you need to know. What actually happens in the plot isn't important necessarily. Like we've said everything we want to say. You can figure it out. Go read like the 17 other games that link to this, like it's a Kingdom Hearts.
Go watch
plot,
the stage play.
Yeah, and it's always awkward with these kind of games, because I worry that any complaint I may have about the story can immediately be chalked up to like, oh, you're thinking like a child. You don't understand the nuance.
Well, you do have to have a very high IQ
to
to understand NieR Automata, to be fair, Kai.
It is one of those kind of things where I've got to like really dance around it to talk about the plot, not only because of spoilers, but because I don't want to just be labelled as a Neanderthal. But I will say, as much as I do like a lot of the subtlety it had, it doesn't hurt to have the occasional, like, just tell me what's happening. Just in very rare instances, just to clear things up. Again, I was very relieved to learn afterwards that a lot of the context I felt like I was missing wasn't me being dumb. It comes from other games, not necessarily just the other game in the series, Replicant, either, but it comes from like a whole line of other Drakengard games and whatever. And I was half relieved because it meant I'm not that dumb, and half like, really? Like, I know that it wasn't integral to know those games, but even just referencing them, I don't know. I always like when a game is self-contained. But
it depends. I can see.
This is all relating to plot, and the plot isn't important.
Yeah, I don't think that's not at all invalid criticism. I think it does kind of depend. In a way, it reminds me of, and this is a weird comparison, but you look at like Star Wars, and because this game, although this is like a sequel, technically it's very much expected people play it without playing the first one. And you look at the original Star Wars film, it starts with Episode 4, A New Hope. That was the first one released. And it's the sort of thing George Lucas did, was he set you up partway in a journey. He references things like, oh, your father fought in the Clone Wars. Nobody knew what they were in the 80s, not until 2002 or whatever, when that released. But it's a kind of a way where, if you watch it now, you get into it, and if you know all this interesting stuff of, oh, he's referring to that, the lore's there. And if you don't know, it still works as like I wonder what that is. That's an interesting seed of something that happened in the past. And I think that's kind of, again, what they were going for with that. Your mileage will vary. Again, it's a personal thing. It depends on your tastes. But I think that's sort of the vibe it has. At the very least, whether that lands or not will depend. But it's interesting.
That's a very
it's certainly
good
unique
take on it, to be honest. That has shifted my thoughts on it. That it's that kind of thing. I will say,
I like that it makes us have this conversation.
It's a very thought-provoking game on many fronts. Again, I am part of my, I have a degree that has a minor in political philosophy. So, like, when they've got this isn't really a spoiler. When they've got a big old robot called Engels, I'm like, oh, okay, that's you. It's very on point. So I find it really engaging in that sense. I want to sort of find more time to think about it. But no, that's a good point, and I think it's one of those things where I'm assuming it's a game where, like you say, when you go back and look at it again with a little bit more context, even just the context of the end of the game, you start to appreciate it a lot more now. I did go through and watch all 26 endings. It's not really a spoiler that there's all those. I'm sure it's fine.
For a moment, Kai, I thought you were about to say, I went through and watched all 26 episodes of the anime. And I was like, what? Already?
No, I am going to do
makes
that,
more
though.
sense.
I actually am going to do that.
Yeah.
No, I forgot to mention, but that is on my list now. I went through and just watching some of the early ones, I'm like, I can see a little bit more understanding now, which is cool. So, it's one of those things where they did leave it on a little bit of a cliffhanger that I'd be curious for it to explore further. And it's slightly frustrating that there's all this outside context to know, but because I just can't be bothered to get into a massive world like that. But regardless of all of that, again, the core of the story to me is not the plot, it is the message. and I would like to go back and try and understand those messages more. So that's the story. I feel like I don't want to tread too much water because I've already accidentally said too many things bordering on spoilers. But it is there. Gameplay is an interesting one. My favourite part of the gameplay was when one word, bucket. I liked playing with the bucket. Outside of that, no. It's smooth gameplay in a lot of senses. Like the movement is very clean. It gives you a small world to work with. The jumping is all quite satisfying, and being able to use your pod as a glider of sorts. I like all of that. I think the movement's fun. And I also don't mind the combat. I really like all the different weapon types. How they combo together was something I found near the end of the game to be very satisfying. Some of the other abilities that you get later on down the line that you know I'm talking about, like those are really fun. A really cool alternative way to win the game. I liked all of those concepts. But there was a clear struggle at times. And it wasn't the whole time. Most of the bosses were really fun. But there were certain parts early in the game where I was like, it was difficult. And I don't consider myself to be like bad at games, especially not these type of games. But there was early on where I was like, look, fighting these things isn't a whole lot of fun. There's a certain bit in the game where enemies just felt like they were HP sponges. And your choices are either ignore them and get even weaker, or get really bored by fighting them when they just don't stop coming. It was an early part of the game, and it was a rough point, and it did get to a piece where sort of I was just massively underleveled, and everything was taking forever to kill, and I was dying in a couple of hits. It was not fun. It was simply not fun, and I understood that a lot of that was me being underleveled. But eventually I did some level grinding and got back on it. Even outside of my level grinding, I will say the ball enemies, I will hold this strong. The ball enemies you fight early on are not fun in the slightest. Again, I love the other boss fights against certain different other life forms. They're really fun. The balls are obnoxious and dumb and stupid, and I hate them. They're okay later in the game. But early on, they just are really obnoxious because it does not gel with the gameplay whatsoever. And I will hold that those alone almost made me quit playing the game because they're just a bad time.
It was a trip. It was certainly something watching you do those. And the thing is, it's been too long for me to remember. Although the funny thing is that when I went back to the boss fight the first one where you most raged at, the ball one, sort of mid-game-ish, my message to your Discord that time was, at least the boss was easy. So, but the thing is, generally I agree with you though, in that one of my bigger problems in a lot of action games is bigger enemies. I find that bigger enemies, they tend to be worse at like projecting their attacks and kind of things, especially things that are vaguely shaped or ball shaped. So you don't see like a big punch and a wind up with an arm or something, and that makes them more obnoxious. So I can certainly, although I can't say I remember having the same struggles you did with them, and I've bought the game myself to replay it at some point in the near future, near future. But so maybe I'll comment on that soon enough. But so although I don't think I had the same experience, I can see why those types of enemies above any would be the ones that cause it, because they at the very least this game is punishing. That is for sure. Enemies can do a lot of damage, and the save system is pretty brutal as well. So, especially no autosave. And that kind of thing, when it builds up, that can mess with you. Both games, and I played Replicant earlier this year, they certainly lack a bit of quality of life in some moments. That is for certain.
They do. They really do. To be honest, for me, it was less actually the size and more the speed. Like, the main thing was when this enemy would jump so high into the air that you can't lock onto it, and then would crash down on you. And, like, unless you're doing a perfect dodge, running as fast as you can in one direction, you cannot dodge it. Same thing when it barrels towards you. Unless you are running in one direction already and dodge at the perfect time, you cannot get out of its way. And it's like, That's what's obnoxious to me, is like, okay, there is just an unavoidable object here barreling towards me, and it never stopped to let me attack back. And it's just like that. It gave me the vibes of like someone who's trying to make a game but doesn't want their favorite character to die, so they just make them impossible to beat.
So someone was a big fan of Ball Monokuma and was like, this for every fight, is what you're saying.
That's the one point it gets back, is it reminded me of Ball Monokuma. But anyway, also outside of that specific type of boss and whatever, and you know, some of the enemies being really annoying with their stun lock attacks, like the normal enemies and stun lock attacks were ridiculous. Outside of that, again, the movement was fun, and I really like what you as the player are able to do. That side of things was really fun. I guess I just kind of wish that the enemies had more synergy with that. I don't mind them being difficult. It's just that a lot of the time it was kind of like, you know, I've got all these cool attacks, but it doesn't feel like the enemies are responding in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's all it is. The actual gameplay that you physically can control is all very good.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
I don't know. I don't know if I have any other thoughts on the game. Again, it's like super fresh in my head, and this is the kind of game I need a lot of time to digest. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll give more reflections later down the line in some way.
As we discussed, it's definitely a sit on it kind of game. Like, and the more you watch it again, or that you see someone else play it or whatever, the more you think, or you watch the anime, the more, like you said, you notice things like, oh, that's what that's an allusion to. That's interesting. And the anime even doesn't just directly adapt the game. It changes a few details. It's basically another ending, or not another ending per se, but another route. You know, it kind of is. So yeah, it will be interesting to see your thoughts on that as well.
I will watch it and probably give my thoughts at one point or another. I will also add, at the very end, I did choose to save someone else. That's all I'll say. So there you have it. Nicely done. Interesting. It's a very interesting game. And it's done now.
It is.
And I don't have plans to play Replicant anytime soon, I'll say that.
I understand it. It's Replicant, again, I've said it before, it's still my favourite game I've played this year. It's stuck with me, so I look forward to the day you experience that one way or another. Even if it's watching someone else play it, like, it's an experience. And its characters are some of the, like, 2B and, you know, 9S, very likeable characters, right, you know. But, Replicant hits different. You'll see. One day you'll see. But I think that might actually be it. I was going to talk about Bonanza as well, but we're running on an hour, and heck, I've still got post-game stuff to do, so maybe I'll do that and save it for next month. I think that's probably a good point to call it quits there. So let's put a bow on that one. Been a good month. Nice surprising stuff at the end there. Thank you everyone for watching, and Kai, where else can people find your content at? Now that you're finished NieR.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Fascurreyn. I've finished NieR, and Inazuma 11 now isn't coming out very soon. So I'm going to find something else to do in the meantime. We'll see. I've got some smaller ideas. I'm going to play that Millennium Tales demo and whatever else. Yeah. So it should be a good time.
Absolutely. And I'll be on twitch.tv/TheChosenOneLegend, starting to start up soonish with a new series. Still don't know what it'll be, but only one way to find out. Check links to both of those in the description below. And a link to our friend Sam, who does the thumbnail work. I say that, I've made the last few months of thumbnails, because he was on holiday. So if you've seen like a drop in quality, that's why. But maybe you'll see return soon. Linked him below. And you can find us here on BunchaJokahs, monthly podcast, first Sunday of each month. Discussions, reactions to any directs, audio only on Spotify and podcasting sites, and video versions here on YouTube. But until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.